I want to talk about something that I'm going to call chasing Fridays. And what I mean by that is the tendency to just disassociate whenever Monday or even Sunday night, whenever it's like past like 6 p.m. Sunday night, the tendency to just zone out and just put your head down and just forget everything until Friday comes, because Friday obviously starts the weekend. And I was just thinking about the amount of time that is wasted when people do that, when they have that mindset. Because you think about, like, okay, you get off work at, most people work like 9 to 5, so you get off at work at like 5 p.m. on a Friday. And then, so you have like 5 p.m. Friday to 5 p.m. Sunday to like really not think about anything that you have coming up, to just sort of relax and live a little bit. And so you're wasting like 3/4 of each month just with that mindset, because for some reason people don't seem, and I get like people have responsibilities and stuff like that during the week. You know, if you're on the older side, if you're like mid-20s and above, you there's a good chance you have kids, stuff like that, responsibilities, maybe a mortgage or rent. But there's a tendency to just, on a weekday, knowing that you have work, to just sit around and do nothing and relax, whether that's because you don't have whether that's because you're too tired after work to do anything else, or because you dread going into work so much that you just don't want to do anything else, or whatever the case is. You just sort of waste Monday through Thursday, because you also have to work that day. And like I said, I understand like responsibilities and having to make food and whatnot, but I just was thinking about the amount of time that people waste and the amount of time that goes by when people have that mindset. It's just unfortunate that people waste so much of their time thinking like that. And, you know, like, go do something. If you work 9 to 5, go do something for a little bit after work. For some people, it's the gym. They enjoy doing that. Or if you work nights, do something before work. And obviously setting aside like the financial factor of being able to afford whatever and stuff like that. But, and this is also a relatively new concept that came with like the modern work industry. I would say since like the post-industrial revolution era. Like before then, you just sort of done your own work, grew your own food, lived in your own little community, stuff like that. And so this is a relatively new topic to talk about. But more and more people are talking about this, and I just wanted to make this video. Like I hear more and more people talk about it, and so I just wanted to make this video. Because it's just like I've said, it's just like people later will realize, like people tend to realize later that they wasted a lot of time, or that they should have done this or should have done that. And it's kind of the harder thing to do in the moment, to realize that, like, hey, down the line, if I just continue to just sit around until Friday and then go do something on Fridays, then I'm going to regret it later, because I'm not going to, you know, have done anything. But, and it's sort of like a difficult thing to address, because that's just the way that the system is set up. For example, like blue collar people, like they're usually, I mean, they're tough people, but their jobs are more physical and more exhausting than just like a white collar job. But so like when they get off from work, they may be too tired to go do something else, or they may, you know, they may be drained and have to come and rest, and then come home and rest, and then by the time it's time to go do the same thing the next day. And that's what I mean, like that's the way the system is set up, to where it's kind of harder to, on top of the financial situation in our country today, it's kind of harder to plan time for yourself when your schedule is sort of based around your job. But I just wanted to talk about this. It's I've sort of seen people talk about it a little bit, but it is getting more popular. But I just wanted to talk about this sort of mindset, because it's not talked about enough, I don't think. Just the amount of time that people waste just putting their head down and just disassociating and just trying to get to Friday. People say like, oh, it's almost Friday, and then Friday comes, and then you maybe go out to eat Friday night or whatever, and then Saturday comes, and oh, tomorrow's already Sunday, and then Sunday comes, and oh, back to work tomorrow. So, but I guess what I'm trying to say is just try and then go do something on a weekday, and don't limit yourself to Fridays or the weekends. And I know it's kind of a difficult thing to do when, like, maybe you want to go out and do something with friends, but they work on a Tuesday when you don't work. Maybe you work the opposite shift, so when you're free, they're not, or something like that. But just want to talk about this, maybe encourage people to not just waste so much of their life waiting on a Friday. But I appreciate you guys for watching this. Peace.